Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. And have you seen firearm prices lately? It's insane. And are the firearms worth their price tag? Let's talk about it.
Just start. We'll finish.
Quick finishing pass, not too bad. And I'll probably do that.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. He's safe and have fun on the range.
Now before we get into this, a quick note to bear in mind is that right now we're going to be talking about prices, and we're doing prices in the US dollar, and we're in July of 2020. So to give you an example, this Kimber Custom Shop Grand Raptor 2 was around $1,500 to $1,600 when they were available, and this T-Sauce is currently around $380 to $400 if you can find them. Now, they're both chambered in the same 45 ACP, they both are just as reliable as one another, and generally speaking, they're both as accurate as one another. Now, I do understand that there's different metal processes, different types of metal, different treatments, different coatings, and different polishing techniques, and the Kimber actually has a lot of nice milling on the slide. So what's the real difference, and does it even matter to you, the shooter? Let's get into it. Hey man, what's up? How you doing?
How much? Want to check out the new H&K?
Yeah. H&K?
H&K?
Nah man, you gotta check out this high point. It's a yeet cannon! Just as good, bro! Generally speaking, a firearms owner will fit into one of three categories: the utilitarian, the collector, or the enthusiast. The utilitarian would be like your hunters or your people that are only interested in firearms for self-defense. The hunter might be looking for a nice wood stock and a 3-9 power scope to better hunt game with, where the self-defense person might only be really interested in a red dot sight or a light and laser combination on their rifle. The collector might just be an investor who buys low, sits on a firearm for a while, waits for the price to go up, and then sells high. Or a historian, someone who just appreciates history and the tools that human beings have had to use throughout the years to better protect ourselves, defend ourselves, or use in theaters of war. I've even seen a lot of video game players get into the firearms racket as well. Just playing video games, then wanting to own those firearms makes a lot of sense. And then there's a third group, the enthusiast. And honestly, I think I kind of fall into that group. Enthusiasts are just really interested in anything that goes bang. We love the different technologies, operating systems, the coatings the firearms have. So let's take a look at a few examples of where maybe someone like myself would value firearms. So the first example is this Romanian Psl. Once upon a time, they were coming into the country, they were around $600, and I'm sure maybe even a little cheaper than that. I was fortunate enough around 8 years ago to pick this one up for around $750, maybe $800. There was a long lull where we just couldn't get our hands on this particular firearm, and Classic Firearms got their hands on them and was charging around $3,000. Right now, they're around $2,500, maybe $1,800 right now, but my personal cap on a firearm like this is $2,000. That's just as far as I'm willing to go for this type of firearm. So we're going to jump into the AR-15s. Shout out to Cav Trooper 19D. Here's a beautiful model right here. And, you know, originally not that long ago, you could actually pick up an AR-15 for around $350. It might have been a lower quality one, but you still could pick up a working AR-15 for $350. Nowadays, you're probably paying $700 to $2,200 for a nice AR-15. And honestly, my cap is about $1,500, maybe $1,600 for a really nice AR-15. And I have broken that rule. I saw a POF 415 Edge. It was just beautiful. I just couldn't avoid it, and I ended up paying MSRP, which was like $1,800 for it. So like I said, hopefully this list of things we're going through will help you guys in kind of figuring out what exactly your limit is for a firearm.
Hey, how you doing? You have to find something?
Yeah, actually I'm kind of looking for a pistol. I want something kind of different. I'm not really looking for a Glock or anything like that. I want something that's just different, something rare maybe.
Okay. We just got these in. They're about $2,500.
$2,500? Oh, take the money! Oh. Here's another example, the CZ Checkmate. They go for about $3,200, and once upon a time in my life, I just thought CZ was it. That was the end-all be-all, the magnum opus, if you will, of firearms manufacturing. And yes, in fact, I even went to a different state to have it transferred to mine so I could have one early, and $3,200 is what I paid. Honestly, personally, the most I'm ever going to pay for one of these raced out pistols again is $2,000, maybe $2,500 because this does have a nice red dot sight. And honestly, a firearms manufacturer can probably produce this for around $800 to $1,000 and still make a profit. So here's an immaculate example of a K31 Swiss. These are absolutely beautiful push-pull rifles that came from Switzerland. And originally, when they came into the country, you could probably pick one up for around $200. I was fortunate enough to pick this one up for $400 about 5 or 6 years ago. Unfortunately, they've kind of dried up. The surplus is gone now, and generally speaking, to get into one of these, it's around $800 to $1,000, depending on the type of wood you want. Really, my top for one of these is about $600, unfortunately, and that's just as high as I'm going to go on something like this. And if a company was going to try to reproduce this particular firearm, it would probably cost them around $2,500 to do it. So, really, an awesome rifle, but my top is $600. Bolt action rifles? Holy cow, does that cover a spectrum. Things as simple as this Mossberg Model 344 and 22 long rifle. Things all the way up to this Bushmaster 50 BA and 50 BMG. Now, as fancy as these can get, they cover a whole landscape of prices from as simple as $150 all the way up to $14,000 for a Chi-Tech Intervention M200. Honestly, my cap for a bolt action rifle, as nice and as cool as it might be, even a carbon fiber wrapped barrel, my cap is $5,000. That's it. That's as much as I can go. That's where I call it quits. Some people might call me a cheapskate. Others might say I'm crazy. That's fine. That's just as far as I can go. Because honestly, most companies can get a rifle built like that for around $1,500, maybe $2,000 on the high side, even with the carbon fiber. All the rest of that just seems like overcharging to me. And now let's get into 1911s. And I know I'm just going to get murdered in the comments section for this. This is a Les Baer. Shout out to Terribly Tactical. Custom match pistol, and it is absolutely beautiful. About 10 years ago, Les Baer was a smaller company. You could usually pick one of these up for around $1,000, maybe $1,300. Nowadays, they're around $2,000 to $2,500. And part of the reasoning for that is one gunsmith builds this gun from beginning to end, touches all these surfaces, stones them all, makes sure all the parts match up, and in the end, it's like bearings on butter. I was fortunate enough back then to pick this up for $1,000, and that's my cap on 1911s, $1,000. It's just an opinion, but it's my opinion. Now, most companies can get you a really reliable, nice 1911 for $700 to $800. So my cap is about $1,000 on a 1911. So let's move into something maybe a little more rare. Here is an Egyptian Rasheed rifle, and these are actually really rare. I really like these rifles. When they were first brought into the country, I want to say that you could probably pick one up for around, I think, $500. Obviously, being so rare, they've dried up, and my top for these, honestly, is around probably $800. I was lucky enough to pick this particular model up for around $680 a few months ago. I do understand that if a company tried to replicate this exact firearm nowadays, it would probably cost around $2,000 to do so. But for me, $800, that's probably my limit. Talking about shotguns, we're getting into another real wide spectrum. We got pumps and semis. We'll just do them all at once. Here's a Utas 15, and this is a pump shotgun that holds 15 rounds. Very interesting, a lot of different features on this particular firearm, and really, really cool. Honestly, my top for a pump shotgun is probably going to be around, I want to say $750, and I realize there's a lot of different models out there and competition shotguns and everything like that, but me personally, $750 is my top. Semi-automatics, here's a P.U.R.E 12. These are very awesome shotguns. They come from Russia. My top for a semi-automatic is about $1,200. And honestly, I really wish I had a Benelli M4, but they're just so expensive. It's almost ridiculous for me to even try to come up with the money to pay for a shotgun like that. Originally, the Utas came into the country for about $750, and the P.U.R.E was actually coming into the country around that same price point as well. Nowadays, the Utas is, I think, around $900, and the P.U.R.E 12s, I want to say, are around $1,000, maybe $1,100, but both really cool shotguns, and they just work, they just run. So here's a Star BM 9mm, and when these first came into the country, you could pick them up for about $150, and that really isn't a bad price for what you're getting, honestly. Right now, you can pick them up for about $280, and I would go as high as to pay about $500 for one of these little pistols. If a company was going to reproduce these right now, they'd probably have to be around $600, maybe $700 to reproduce this particular pistol. So honestly, a really great value. So be on the lookout for one of these if you're interested. So let's jump into AK-47s. Shout out to Zeke Shoots. What we have here is a Chinese, excuse me, AKS 762. And when these first came into the country, they were about $350 to get one. Now they've kind of dried up. And if you've been keeping an eye on the AK values, they've just been skyrocketing. To get one of these is around $2,500, maybe $3,000. This is a pre-ban. And generally speaking, a company can build one of these for around $700 to $900, let's say. Palmetto State Army has surely shown us that that can be done. And this AK-47 cost me about $1,600 around a year ago, and that's really the kind of the cap. That's probably my top for an AK-47 is around $1,600. I know I'm a cheapskate. I know. But anyhow, that's what I'd value an AK-47 at. All right, let's do polymer semi-autos. Right here, I have an HK Mark 23, and this is a beautiful example of one. Some people love them, some people hate them. A lot of history with this pistol in our SOCOM units. And this particular one, you'll usually see these for sale around $2,000, maybe $1,800 on the market. And they're very, very nice. They're very, very big also. It's kind of like holding a brick. Chrome line bore. There's nickel-plated roll pins. The steel underneath this is all stainless. And there's a tough weather coating on here that can, withstand salt spray for however 50 hours. They're also extremely accurate. But having said that, I purchased this pistol around 2 years ago for $1,500, and honestly, that's probably my cap for it. Other companies can probably reproduce something close to this for around $900, maybe $1,200. So yeah, $1,500. That's probably my limit for the polymer semi-auto pistols. So I really hope that some of these examples help all of you make your own caps and lists of what you're willing to spend on a certain firearm, so you don't get trapped like I did and go, ooh, I'll buy that. Anyhow, remember that loose is fast, brakes only slow you down, and if certain state governors didn't let police arrest rioters from burning the city down and now are asking for federal bailout money, well, that doesn't make any sense. Remember to be safe and have fun on the range, and November 2nd is coming.
What can I help you with?
Yeah, man. I'm looking for a really nice pistol, something that no one else probably would have. Like, you got anything rare?
Just got this in. Hold on a second.
Oh, take the money! Wow.